I literally just saw, as in they announced it about 5 minutes ago, 8 minutes ago according to the website, that Duelyst is getting rotations. This is not exactly a surprise, but the timing is kind of fortuitous. Actually, I was saying to someone like a couple of days ago that we're probably close to the point where they'll have to do something like this. So it's kind of gratifying to see in some way, but it's still huge news because this is going to really shake up the game as we currently know it. So if anyone's here yet, I'm just going to post that in. Muted? Am I ready? Damn it. Am I still muted? No. Alright, awesome. Yeah, so we just had this huge announcement of the Duelyst getting rotations in 2018 and a bunch of card changes to go alongside it. And the two small expansions, Rise of the Bloodbond and Ancient Bonds, getting merged into one, and you can now craft cards from it. Which I think will really help new players who just need like one thing. Where are we? So, starting in 2018, they're introducing expansion rotations. There's going to be a rotation once a year. So it'll be, like with most other games, it'll be the last 2 years of sets that are legal plus the core set. The first rotation will occur when the first expansion of 2018 is released. At that time, Denizens of Shimzar will rotate out, as well as any cards that are being removed from the core set. Basically, they're putting all the... let's have a look. Starting with this upcoming patch, cards being removed from the core set will no longer come out of core set Spirit Orbs, but they will remain craftable and disenchantable. Cards moving into the core set from another expansion won't appear in their respective expansion orbs. All cards remain legal in ladder. Starting with the next rotation, cards removed from the core set will no longer be playable in standard rank ladder. There's also some mention of they're going to add like a wild format or whatever. Basically, they're adding a bunch of... so the Grandmasters are all getting put in the core set. Sunforge Lancer and Excelsius are going in. Blood of Air is going in. Frostburn is going in. And there's a couple of like niche cards coming out that no one plays. As well as some commons. Blistering Scorn is coming out, that's a big one. Sunsteel Defender is coming out, that's a big one. Duelyst, holy crap. Night Watcher. Ruby Rifter, no! Zenrui is coming out as well. Some of the jank legendaries. Man, that's kind of sad actually. I guess you'll always be able to play them in wild or draft, but eh. Well, unless they make draft standard as well. And then they're also nerfing a few core set cards, normally ones that people have complained about. Blood Rage Mask's getting more expensive, Revenant's getting more expensive, Aspect of the Ravager's getting more expensive, Chromatic Cold will deal 1 damage, Frostburn's getting more expensive, Saberspine Tiger getting more expensive, and then the Mechazor changes they announced the other day. And a couple of other housekeeping bits. Like, holy crap. And I have to switch apps, go read that notice. Yeah, go for it. There's a lot to take in. I think Blood of Air going in is actually a good thing. Like, Vitruvian not having any real removal was a big deal before Blood of Air came out, so I actually think it's a good idea. The main thing I'm concerned about actually is they're cutting a few cards that I really like. I mean, I assume there'll be things printed to replace these, but like with Sunsteel and Duelyst leaving, that's quite a blow to mid-range decks. I know Duelyst doesn't see much play nowadays, but like, it is nice to have big neutrals. I suppose they don't want anything that has... Like, those cards are so good that they make it hard to design more 4-drops, I guess. They're trimming some legendaries that no one ever plays, which actually, that makes me sad, because Ruby Rifter leaving... I love Ruby Rifter. I think the card is massively underappreciated. Blistering Scorn leaving is sad as well, but I imagine that's because the card is very powerful. Like, it is quietly one of the better cards in the game. I guess Duelyst has always had a glut of good stuff at 4. And most of the cards they're cutting are either jank that no one plays or powerful 4-drops. Interesting. I still play Duelyst quite a bit. Yeah, me too. Like, I love Duelyst. Double Red says, oh shit, they're doing a rotation. Yeah, in the start of 2018, which actually is really soon, isn't it? God. Why Scorn will be removed? I don't know. They haven't actually explained all of the changes. It would be very interesting. Maybe they'll do a dev talk or something, although they haven't done one of those in a while, about exactly why a lot of these cards are coming out. Like, some of them is just like, this is chaff that people don't play, like Tethermancer, Windrunner, Sand Burrower. Like, no one is going to miss these cards. Although I do have a deck with Windrunners in it. Lux Ignis, like, who plays that? But, and some of them actually are the old streamer cards, which is a bit odd, actually. There's a few streamer cards for streamers that no longer play, I guess. Maybe that's relevant. There's only a couple, but like, I guess Envy Bear and the Scientist don't see a lot of play. Nor does Mogwai. Those are the ones. But it's possible that they're actually getting sort of removed because people will be like, what's this card named after? Oh, it's a streamer that used to play 2 years ago. That might be some of it. Alter Rex is going as well. Which is odd, because that might actually see a bit more play with the new mech changes. Macanto, has the expansion dropped? Not yet, that's tomorrow, I think. No patch yet, we've still got the normal old cards. Let me just double check, actually. Got my pre-order. Yeah, I can't open these yet. What does it mean that they're removed? These cards are getting punted from the core set. I don't know if they're going anywhere else. They'll be craftable and disenchantable from the collection screen. But, oh yeah, it says they will no longer appear in any spirit orbs. How strange. I mean, again, most of them are pretty useless, but it's really weird that, like, Duelyst is just getting kind of deleted from the game. And Sunsteel Defender. That's very odd. The other thing I think is interesting is that they haven't nerfed Macanto Warbeast. I mean, maybe there isn't a good nerf for it, but, like, Holy Immolation and Warbeast are untouched, so I expect those to be, well, those are basically going to be staples of the game forever. I get they're at least a bit easier to play around than Spectral Revenant is. But it'll be interesting to see how much they shape the format in the future, post-rotation. I think Saberspine getting nerfed is quite nice, because Saberspine Lethal is one of the kind of cheapest and most common ways of getting killed, especially out of Lionheart decks with Saberspine Holy Immolation. And I don't really object to Frostburn becoming more expensive either, because that card is really good. Although Vanna are actually taking a massive hit to their removal suite here, because, like, basically all their removals getting nerfed apart from Aspect of Shimzar, which is rotating. So they're going to really struggle post-expansion, possibly, because, like, as someone who's played Vanna a lot, they still don't really have great removal for, like, just 2/3s in the early game. Random dorks. They're good against really big things and things that are vulnerable to Dispel, but outside of that you can actually struggle a bit. I guess that's why Frostburn's going up, because that covers for that weakness in a big way. Yeah, Sunkist, if you just, I'll just post the link again, because I guess you can't see it having just shown up. Bam. They can still be played in, so they haven't explicitly announced this, they just mention it briefly. Let me see. So they mentioned standard ladder everywhere, and there's some hint that they will add, let's have a look. Your full collection of cards will always be playable in other game modes, including friendly matches, boss battles, and other game modes we'll be introducing in the future. More news on that soon. They don't mention what happens with Gauntlet. Possibly that's staying the same, I'm not sure. Big nerfs as well. Magmar definitely win out of this, not only because of them not getting hit by nerfs, but because of stuff like so one of the most annoying things is Magmar is you're playing Magmar versus Vanna specifically. You have a Ragebinder. Ragebinder is obviously an amazing card, but it dies to Chromatic Cold and your opponent hitting it. and that can lead to a pretty severe tempo loss if you just want to plonk down a biggish minion in the middle of the board. Now that can't happen anymore. Whether that's good for the balance of the game, I don't know, but it's noteworthy. Of course, this is all, like, one of the major things about these nerfs is they're not so much nerfs of, like, we don't want this faction to be able to have this much removal, or we don't want these 4-drops to be available. They're making space for new ones. Like, this was always going to be a thing they needed to do, I think, because there are so many, like, when you start making a game, you kind of have to set out a solid foundation, push boundaries where you can just to start with, to see what the breadth of the simple designs you can make are. So, like, the core sets for most games are full of basic cards. Like, Bacanta Warbeast, like, it's fairly simplistic from a design perspective, right? It's like a thing that hits stuff. Holy Immolation is like, it goes boom, you know, Spectral Revenant is like, it hits stuff. And so powerful cards that just hit stuff and kill things are usually quite ubiquitous. You know, they don't require any synergy, and they're also a good place to start with your game, to kind of lay out the basics of, like, let people explore the core mechanics before you go off the rails with crazy stuff. Just catching up on chat. Holy crap, why nerf Tiger so hard? Was that so toxic? I'm actually okay with Tiger getting nerfed. I think having a neutral rush minion that's that pushed, because Tiger is quite pushed, makes it's very hard to play 1/3s in the game generally, and you're always worried about getting bursted. Like, you know, Lion decks always have Tigers. Like, often mid-range decks generally will have them. In Gauntlet is the thing as well. Like, you get bursted by Tigers and buffs all the time. Sometimes the Vitruvian player just goes Tiger, wish, 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 and kills you, and you're like, oh, thanks. So I'm sort of okay with that getting nerfed, because again, it opens space. Like with Revenant and Tiger getting nerfed, they can make more rush minions now. Especially in Abyssian, right? They can make another Abyssian rush minion, perhaps. I hope the game mode with all the expansions will come quickly. Yeah, I don't think there'll ever be a point where there's a rotated standard ladder and not an old, like, wild mode or whatever. Are they cycling out battle pets entirely? Yes. Shimzar will be rotating from standard. So the battle pets will still be around in other game modes, but Shimzar itself is rotating, and Zendo's getting moved to the core set, which is why it's getting a text change. The game will be completely different when this hits. I'm scared and excited. Yeah, me too. It's going to be weird. I'm probably going to play a lot of Magma. Like, Keep of Earth. If the format's slower again, right, Keep of Earth is going to be great. Grove Lion is staying in the core set. Oh, yeah. Losing Sunsteel is going to be a blow, actually. The deck does rely on that a bit. Actually, yeah. Sunsteel is going to be a big deal. I'm going to have to think of a replacement for that. It isn't just like more Thunderhorns. I like that Sunforged Lancer is moving to the core set, because without it, Zeran just doesn't work. I don't know why Excelsius is going to the core set. That card is bad. I guess it's fun. Also, so the Grandmasters are all going to be in there. We obviously had Grandmasters there to start with. All the other Grandmasters are getting added. That means every faction has like a big legendary combo finisher. Especially Vet and Vanor, where you can kind of use the Grandmaster as a linchpin combo piece. Most broken decks have had Tiger. I think that's a good point. Blistering Scorn. Yeah, I mean, Scorn makes me sad because like that card occupies a place in my heart. But it is very good, so it makes sense to push it out in exchange for bringing in new and different AoE options. The Sunsteel Defender hurts me. I really like that card. I'm gonna miss it. And what else is there with like force field or self-healing abilities? No. So these are both going. That's bad. New Mechazor is going to be the same size as Nightwatcher, but new chassis of Mechazor. Exune is going as well, actually. Weirdly. A lot of nerfs coming. To be honest, I got a Bloodsworn Gambler today and thought that would be nerfed, so I kept it. It wouldn't surprise me if that was nerfed, but I don't think it's really something that is going to be on their radar, to be honest. Like, although it generates a lot of salt, I think the idea of the card is it's meant to be like, oh, it's, you know, this gimmick card that has those moments. Excelsior seems like a lore important card. That's a good point, actually. No War Masters anymore? Yeah, that's no big loss, right? The cards are staying. It's just the War Master label on them is going away, which is fine by me. Yeah, there's definitely, like, hopefully there'll be some replacement for Sunsteel and Duelyst. I guess, what 4-drops do the various factions have? So Lionel has, like, well, I guess Arclight Regalia and Holy Immolation, but they don't really count. Suntide Maiden? Songhai don't really need bulky mid-range 4s, but they don't really have any anyway. Vet have Allomancer, Wasteland Wraith, Trigol. Vet are fine. Abyssians are fine as well, right? They have, like, yeah, they have Dezo, Bloodtide, Kaleno. Abyss are fine. Magmar, Drogon, Tagete, Elucidator if you must. Removal. Omniseer? Some jank. Yeah. I don't like any of this stuff as much as I liked Sunsteel Defender, but Tagete is pretty good. We can play her. Banner are probably fine, right? They have like... Oh, actually no. Mostly spells. Is there an actual War Master tribe? Can I look it up in the collection? Yes, if you give me a sec. I'm just looking through all these 4-drops. How will Heal Zeren archetype hold up, you think, without the Shimzar support? They'll be fine for now, right? Because they still have... So, Sunforged Lance is getting moved to the core set. And then there's still, you know, as a Herald, Healing Mystic. What's it called? Sundrop Elixir? Sundrop Elixir. Scintilla. She's there for a while. I think the best part of this all is that the small expansions will be craftable. I think that's going to be helpful. A lot of people are saying that, like, the adventures are pretty hostile to new players. Which, initially I was like, nah, you can just buy them. But if you're not too keen on spending money, it would be nice to, like, I just need Lava Slash, I'll craft it. What other good neutral 4s are left? So, that's getting punted from the core set. That's getting punted. This is getting made smaller. This is going. Hailstone Golem, I guess, will still exist. Lightbender, of course. Primus. Could be Purgatos' time to shine again. Albeast is staying. Silhouette Trace is pretty good. Night Watcher is going. Jammer's still around. Sphinx, lol. Sunsteel is going. Okeana's still around. Thunderhorn, obviously. Till he rotates. I guess there's some stuff. I don't know. I really like what Sunsteel Defender actually does. Like, maybe the card's too powerful, I don't know, but... there's a lot of decks that are kind of enabled by it. Like, basically tempo-y mid-range decks, such as Keeper and the Elena deck I've been playing. Finally be able to get rid of those pesky Songhai teleport foxes. Oh yeah, we can dust them. To be honest, I'll be tempted to keep most of it anyway, because, like, the jank is still funny. It's, yeah, so... Before we look at the stuff in those two expansions. War Masters, there's Skywing, Arrow Whistler, Unseven, Golden Justicar. Lol. Just these, basically. So, I think they planned to do, you know, a bunch of creatures that all worked with particular keywords, but they don't have any real need to make them War Masters, I think. Especially as we have... Are there any more Provoke Synergy cards? I feel like there's going to be Provoke Synergy cards in Immortal Vanguard to work with Brone. And there's things like Afterblaze, which is a spell, so it doesn't really work with, you know, It's like a War Master spell that cares about zeal. So yeah, I think this is fine. Especially as on 7 doesn't even fit the pattern of the rest of them. Those are War Masters. Yeah, these guys. So they're just basically the cards are staying. They're gonna, well, at least Arrowist is getting punted, but the rest of them are staying the same. They're just losing the War Master type. What does it mean to be rotated? So in most CCGs, including soon enough this one, the main competitive constructed format is a standard format that includes basically the past couple of years of cards. In the case of Hearthstone and Duelyst, it also includes the core set, which gets modified a bit to make sure that it's not overpowering over the course of the game's lifespan. So for a card to rotate out of standard is basically it falls off of the back of the time period where a set is legal. So in this case, it's going to be the last 2 years of sets. So in the start of 2018, everything released in 2016, apart from the core set, is getting dropped, I think. Or at least Denizens of Shimzar is, pretty sure that was 2016, not 2015. So Denizens of Shimzar is rotating out of standard. There'll be other formats where it's playable. They all but say out loud that they're going to include a wild mode. Presumably the cards will still be available in draft somehow, and you can use them against bosses and friends. But for the most part, gameplay is going to shift towards standard. They might actually have it just so that standard is the only competitive format for a while, and then they introduce wild afterwards just to get people used to it and not split the ladder. Or have wild appear occasionally, kind of like they used to do with Gauntlet back in the day, where they were still growing the player base. So, which cards are becoming craftable and dustable? What's worth getting rid of? Actually, let's look at what's rotating. Is there anything important that we're losing? Sunwisp, I guess, is a thing. Afterblaze. Losing Afterblaze is going to be a shame, actually, because this is the whole big deal with Brome, right? Like, afterblazing your Bloodborne spell minion, you get a free Primal Shield Master. It's pretty cool. Sunforge is getting moved to the core set, which is good, because otherwise Zeron would stop working. Ironcliff Hearts, we lose some memes. Solarius? That's quite sad, actually. That's a not insubstantial bump to Titan decks. Shimzar rotation will be the hardest nerf to Thunderhorn ever. Oh yeah, but that'll be great, right? Like everyone gets tilted when you get Aspect Thunderhorn. Crescent Spear. Oh no. But I love 8 gates. That's really sad. I didn't realize there were this many good cards in Shimzar. Katara, Kiba Holder is less a constructed staple nowadays than he used to be, but still pretty good. Battle Pando, it's not nothing. Zendo's getting moved to the core set. Onyx Jaguar, I haven't played in a long time, but we'll miss. Vet Pax is going, thank God. Whisper of the Sands is going. Falkius is going. Oh wow, Vet are getting hit hard. Psychic Conduit is going. Damn. Spine Cleaver Circle. What? Damn, half these cards were going to go in my hypothetical Sephiron deck when the set came out. I want to leave my Onyx Jaguar alone. It's so sad. Yeah, Katara as well. That's quite a big deal. Abyssian are losing. Lurking Fear. No. So sad. Ooze. Sphere of Darkness. Wait, this is like Abyssian are losing their entire faction. Obliterate. Wow. Wow, Obliterate. That's big, actually. Especially with Rev getting nerfed. Abyssian are going to have to actually like, win the game normally. Magma are losing Lava Lance. That's a blow to Ragnora. Wild Inceptor. Oh, wow, okay. This makes sense now. Because, like, Ragnora is really powerful. I don't know how much of you guys have been playing with it. I'm like 10-0 with this deck or something. Being able to 10 people is so... it's so consistent. Great thing is that in competitive tournaments you can still play all cards because they're friendly matches. Well, people will have standard and wild tournaments, right? Like, release Lurking Fear, support every expansion. I mean, there'll be other Dying Wish reward cards. Dying Wish is good in itself, right? And you can still play it with, you know, Soul Grimoire and Necromata and stuff. There'll be other things that help the tribe, or the mechanic. But yeah, losing Wild Inceptor and Morinka kind of makes Ragnora make more sense. Because having to use Eggmorph for this combo, just Eggmorph, makes it a lot less consistent. Pandrick, oh, that's sad. Wow, it's like all the egg cards. Vanar, a Spirit Core, that will make me slightly sad. Aspect of Shimzar, that will make everyone happy because no more getting wrecked by Thunderhorn. Frostburn is getting nerfed a bit and moved to the core set. White Asp, that's a little sad actually. Winter's Wake, oh wow. I mean, I always thought of this card as like kind of overkill, but it will at least, it'll remove some flexibility from current War Vanar lists. And then we're also losing some battle pets, no one cares. Saboro, meh. Inquisitor Kron, Nasher, and Beastbound Savage, and Silverbeak. So nothing much really from, I guess this is a blow to those unplayable replace decks that I tried working at some point. But nothing much in the neutral department really. Nasher, some people had started playing with Maeve, and apparently it's pretty good. So that's a bit sad. This expansion brings Exo, so there'll be Ragnora left. Yeah, there'll be more stuff to replace all this rotating. Only core most recent set. No, it's actually going to be... It's only Shimzar that we're losing. Plus, like, some of the cards that are getting kicked out of core. Everything else is sticking around. Wow. It's quite a big deal, though. I wonder if we'll be able to dust cards for full value when they rotate. I'd love to get rid of these. I've got a foil Zukong. Like, why do I still have this? Yeah. Wow, I think Songhai are actually losing a ton. Like, mostly because of this. The Panda is important, the Katara is pretty important, but like, Crescent Spear, that's a blow, that is. All the current Songhai decks lean on this really hard. So hopefully there's some replacement for it. It kills Heal Lionar, it does not. This, Sunforged Lancer, is getting moved to the core set. And there's nothing else in here that actually gets played in Heal Lionar right now. Like, probably the second most important card is this for Swarm decks. And I guess Afterblaze for Brome, but, you know, even Afterblaze wasn't played very much. But, yeah, Zeran will survive. I'm going to get so much dust from Bloodbound Nations. Oh yeah, I was going to check what's in there. So, all of this stuff, for those who haven't seen the news yet, everything in Rise of the Bloodbound and Ancient Bonds is getting combined into a single set with, like, normal orbs. That you buy for the normal amount of gold. And they're becoming craftable. So you'll be able to craft and disenchant these normally. And I guess get foils of them. Excelsius is getting moved to core. Twilight Fox might be dustworthy. Actually, that is legendary. That's probably dustworthy. This is getting moved to core set. As is this. Valkyrie Seal. Has anyone ever gotten this to work? Valkyrie Seal. Grandmaster Embler is moving to core. So actually most of the legendaries in here are getting corified. Meltdown. Man. If we could have gotten full value from these when they got nerfed back in the day, that would be good. Mug Feltdown. Lol. I might have a video of that exact name, I'm not sure. Yeah, well. I'm like surprisingly sad about Sunsteel Defender going. I've built so many decks with that guy in that do a lot of work. Like, this deck is named after it. It's such a big deal. This is my Elena deck. It's really good, actually. It's been holding up well so far. So this is going to lose quite a bit, actually, because we're losing Aspect of Shimzar in the rotation. We're losing Ruby Rifter and Sunsteel. It's like, oops. That basically guts the deck. So I should probably play with this as much as I can. before that happens. Keep of Arth. Losing Sunsteel is a pretty big deal. What else do I have that plays it? That might be it right now. Probably some Lionel deck somewhere. Sunsteel and Scorn. Oh, I know, man. It's so sad. Still, like, I knew this was going to happen on some level, right? Like, games have to introduce rotation. But I didn't, like, it's really sad to think about it and lose your cards. And it's funny because, like, they introduced it to Hearthstone and I was like, oh no, I'm going to lose all these cards, and I just haven't missed. I've never played Wild, like, or maybe I've played like 2 games of it. I just haven't bothered. So it might be that the format is just better without all these cards. What will be of the boy band? We never got to listen to their best music. Oh man. No, we did. We totally did. In fact, I'm going to play this deck right now, because otherwise I'm going to be sad when it rotates.